So today's lesson is about adding and subtracting money. As always, make sure you have a paper and pencil so that you have something to write on to participate in today's lesson. But first, we're going to look at some quick academic vocabulary. The sum is the answer to an addition problem. And here's an example. So the sum would be down here. It would be the answer to this problem. And then the difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. And here's an example of that. So this is a subtraction problem, so the answer to this problem would be known as the difference. And now let's take a look at an example. So at the end of May, Mrs. Loop had an account balance of $442.37. Since then, she has written a check for $63.92 and made a deposit of $350. How much money does Miss Loop have now? So what I'm actually looking for is how much money does Miss Loop have now? Well, if I'm looking for how much she has now, let's go back and figure out what happened in this story. So here it tells me that she had an account balance of $442.37. That means that's how much money she had when she began this story. Since then, she has written a check for $63.92. So if she wrote a check, what that means is that she spent that money. And then finally, at the end of the story, she made a deposit of $350. So what a deposit is when you put money into your bank account. So to sum that up, she had this much money to start, she spent this money, and then she got this much more money. So we'll just do one step at a time. We'll take what she had, and if she spent this money, that means it's gone, so we're going to subtract that. So we'll take this number, subtract this number. So since we're subtracting with decimals, we need to make sure that we line up the decimals. So I'm going to move that here, and we'll keep that in mind as we're working this. So I'm just going to rewrite this number. And yes, you should be writing this down, so make sure you pause the video and write this down with me. And remember, you can always jump back in the video if I'm going too fast. And we're going to subtract this number, so I'm going to write this number underneath. And remember, the decimal needs to line up, so I'm actually going to write that decimal first. And then I notice on the right side I have a 9 and a 2. And on the left side of the decimal, a 3, 6. And I just got to make sure I do that in the right order. The 3 was right next to the decimal, and then the 6, like that. Then I can draw my line and my subtraction sign. Where I have gaps, I can put zeros in. And again, I want you to pause the video here and try solving this on your own. So try to find the difference here, and then unpause the video when you're ready to check your answer. So we'll start on the right side. So 7 take away 2 is 5. And then 3 take away 9. You can't do that because if you have 3 of something, you cannot take away 9. So we'll come over here and borrow, making that a 1. And then the 1 I took out goes there, making that 13. So I have 13 take away 9, which is 4. Next I have 1 take away 3. And again, I cannot do that. If I have 1 of something, I cannot take away 3. So I need to look here and borrow. So we'll cross that off, making it a 3. Bring the 1 over here, making that an 11. So 11 take away 3 is 8. Now we have 3 take away 6, which you cannot do again. If you have 3 of something, you cannot take away 6 of them. So we'll look here and borrow. So cross off the 4, make it a 3, making this a 13. So I have 13 take away 6, which is 7. And finally, 3 take away 0. I can do that. And then finally, my very last step, decimals are lined up so that it comes straight down in between the 8 and the 4. So my decimals are completely lined up here. So remember, in our story, Miss Loop had this much money. She spent this money. So this is how much money she has left now. But we're not done with the story. Remember, she had the deposit of $350. And deposit means you're putting money in. So she got $350. So if she got that $350, we'll come down here and we'll actually add it to this number. So we're going to do 350 plus this number. So remember, my decimals must line up, so I actually put the decimal first. And of course, you should be writing this down. So if you need to pause the video to get caught up, do that. And on this one, since she got that money, we are going to add these numbers together. So first we have 5 plus 0, giving us 5. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 0. 7 plus 5 is 12, so we'll carry that 1. And then finally, we have 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7 here. And then, of course, our decimals need to line completely up. So I'm just going to write that decimal right underneath, and we're done. And now we can see if we answered the question. So remember, in the story, this is how much money Miss Loop had. So we had that here. Then she wrote a check, so she spent this much money. That's why we subtracted it. That left her with this much money. And then the last thing that happened in the story was she made a deposit of $350. And a deposit is when you get money. So we added those together. And so we were looking for how much money does Miss Loop have now? Well, Miss Loop now has $728.45.